Welcome to Unity 5 Introduction or Lesson 1. Before I get into it, I just want to thank Jimmy Vegas. He has amazing amount of videos and I've learned pretty much everything I know about Unity from him. So I encourage you to go explore his website and follow his tutorials for additional things that you might want to do that we don't cover in this class. All right, so welcome to Unity. I should close this. So let me pause it for a second. So go ahead and open up Unity from either your dock if it's there or find it on applications. You've already noticed I got a couple games here, but we're going to create a new one. This is your first one, so I'm going to press on New. Name it something. So I'm just going to call this one, for example, Intro. Doesn't matter where. Hopefully the location makes sense on your desktop. Make sure it's not in a private or temporary folder. 3D is selected. You can ignore asset packages for now. I'm going to create the project. It takes a couple seconds to open up, so I'm going to pause it and get back to it once it's open. Okay, it's opened up. Let me quickly show you a couple of different things on the interface. On the left side are our hierarchy and also where basically any objects that are inside our game will be showing up. Down here are assets that we will importing. We're not too worried about this for this first lesson. On the right side here, if you're familiar with Photoshop or Illustrator, it's basically the additional controls you have if you've selected something. So for example, if I click on main camera, you'll notice on the right side is where I get to fool around with the different options. And right now I just have two, the direct light and the main. Up at the top here, the game is how it's going to look. If I click on it, live, and then scene is where I will be working on different things. Notice this is a 3D environment. So we've got three axes, the X, the Z, which is you're used to, and then the Y, which will go up and down. So in this one, we're just gonna make a simple structure following what Jimmy's example was. So to start off with, give me a second. Hopefully this shows up now. I wanted to make sure this shows up. But at the top, we got something called Game Object. Click on Game Object, and we're gonna create a cube. So here's our cube, and we're gonna first rename it. It's very important to me naming things, especially once a game gets really big. So I'm going to call this one ground, because it will be our ground. So what can I do to the cube? On the right side here, I can obviously position in different places. So if I put 10 on the X value, you'll notice it disappeared. So what you can do is a couple things. As long as you have this 4 arrows selected and double click on the object, it will zoom to where it is. If I have the hand selected, I can click and drag where I want, and obviously using your mouse middle button, you can zoom in and out. So I'm going to go back down to 0. You always want to start your things basically in position 0, 0, 0, and I'm going to double click back on ground to go back to it. There's another one here too, just to show you in case you like it. If I move this off and I have ground selected, and I have my mouse in the middle, and I press F, the F key, it will also zoom in back to there as long as you have the hand selected. So I'm just going to go back to this for now and zoom out. So let's make our ground to scale. So I want to make it a bit wider than that. So let me put 10 on the X-axis. So there we go. Now it's longer, and I also want to make it wider. So I'll put another 10 here for Y, but that doesn't make any sense, right? Because it's going up and down. So we actually want to make it pretty thin. So let's make it 0.25. And on the Z-axis, put 10 there. And we have a nice base going along. Our next step is let's make 3 walls. So I'm going to go to Object, 3D Object, Cube. And right now, notice this. If I hold my Command key and click, oops, not my Command key, my Option key and click, I can look around. And my cube right now is below my thing. So right now, if I go to Edit, Snap Settings, it shows that it's going to move 0.5 if I use my snap option. So how do I use my snap option? Well, if I use my command key and click and drag, notice that it's snapping up and down, okay? And I want it exactly up. So in my case, I probably have to change my snap options to 0.25 along the Y, 0.25, because remember we made our ground 0.25 wide. Just a bit of simple math going on there. So now if I there, hopefully it should be flush with the bottom. Let's have a look. Oh, no, it's not. So I'm going to click on this, go down one, and it looks like I'm pretty close to it. Now, another way of doing it is the position. I can control it here. Okay, so in this case, 7.5 is too big. 0.5 looks like where I want it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just remember you got two different options. You can either use your command click on your axes, okay, or you can just move it here depending, because you don't want to have too much overlap, as you'll just using up more memory than you need. So let's make a wall. So we're going to scale it along the x-axis. Let's make it, we don't want to make it as wide as that, so we want to make it as our ground. We want to make it smaller, so we'll put 7. Our y, we want a wall, so it's going to go up to, well, 3 is a bit small. How about 4? And if we want it as wide as that, well, it's a bit wide for a wall, so let's put 0.5. And that looks like a great wall. So I'm going to move it a bit down to the back. So I'm going to hold my command and click back this way. And now what I'm going to do is I want to duplicate that one. Now what I haven't done is named it. So I'm going to control click it here. I'm going to rename and call this one wall 1. Now with it selected, I'm going to press command D. And notice that it created a wall 1 and in brackets 1. And I'm going to move it further away from it. And now what I'm going to do is I want to create a back wall for it. So I'm going to go command D again. And in this case, I'm going to rotate it. So I'm going to rotate it along the y-axis because we're looking at it from the top. And simple math, 90 degrees, should rotate it the way we want. Press command as I move it. And move it as the back wall. Now, holding option down, clicking and dragging, I can see that it's not the right width, nor is it exactly positioned. So, having it selected, I can scale it the way I want. So, let's see. If I go 5, how close are we now? Pretty good. And I can move it in. Okay. And now, okay, I'm too far in. So let's see, what position do I want? If I have X position of 3, so I'll probably want to reduce it by 3.25. How close am I now? Looks like I'm flush. And there we go. I've made, oh, it's because the back, no, looks good. Just an optical illusion. So it looks good. Now what I want to do is this. I want to have all these 3 walls as one object. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go to Object, Create Empty. It's going to create an empty object, which you can see right here. And what this lets me do is first rename it. I'm going to call this one Walls. And I'm going to select my first wall, click and drag into the wall. Make sure it's highlighted blue. Oops. Again, do the same thing here. And in here. So now you'll notice that this is the child of this parent wall. So if I click on the wall, all of them get selected. So I can move all the walls at once. Or I can go in and select individual walls and move them. This makes our life a lot easier. So recreate this. When you have it done, show me. Good luck.